bendición. Que viva Chango. ¡Avi, exile! Que viva Chango. Todos los días, papá. Que viva Chango, que viva Chango, señores. Virgen venerada y pura, Santa Bárbara bendita. Virgen venerada y pura, Santa Bárbara bendita. Nuestra oración favorita llevamos hasta tu altura. Que viva Chango. Que viva Chango. ¡Avi, exile! Que viva Chango, que viva Chango, señores. Con alegría y ternura quiero llevar mi trovada allá en tu mansión sagrada, donde lo bueno ilumina, junto a tu copa divina y tu santísima espada. Que viva Chango. Todos los días. Que viva Chango. Allá, papá. Que viva Chango, que viva Chango, señores. Que viva Chango. Todos los días, papá. Que viva Chango. Que viva Chango, señores.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, and thank you for tuning in to another edition of the Divination Table. I'm your host, Michael Lennon, and today's guest is a psychic medium, an animal communicator. He reads tarot and Lenormand cards. He's a certified clinical and transpersonal hypnotherapist. He helps navigate his clients in identifying soul-level solutions for balance, harmony, wellness, enlightenment, and growth. All to raise their personal vibration, he uses a humorous, direct, and compassionate approach in his sessions with his clients and his students to recognize the world of energy around them and to be able to make their own confident, empowered decisions from intuitively informed, centered, and balanced place. Let me bring on our special guest, Intuitive Mitchell Osborn. Good evening. How are you? And thank you for joining us.
I'm here. Are you talking to me?
Of course I'm talking to you.
I thought it was fun. I was like, he's talking on one line and I see my Skype ringing. Do I answer it? What do I do? But I'm here and I'm excited.
I'm so glad to have you here. You know, I've been waiting for you to be on.
I was just picking my teeth because I just had dinner. So I'm here flossing my teeth waiting on you. Oh, it is my pleasure, and I'm so excited to be here with you. So thank you for this opportunity.
I am so glad to have you. I've known you for years. I've seen you online. I've chatted with you off and on over the, course of the last years until I disappeared for a little bit.
Yes.
But, I always love your readings, and I always love the energy and the vibrations that you bring to everything. And reading your bio on your own website, it actually makes sense now.
Yeah. Are you talking about like my history where I really came from?
No, actually, I haven't gotten into that. It was pretty much the, you helping your clients identifying the soul level solutions for balance, harmony, and wellness.
Yeah. I tell you, it's so funny because listening to your own bio being read, I'm always like, do I want to still keep that? Does that really sound like me? I'm like, and then at one point I'm like, God, I want to meet this guy. Who is this person? And then I'm like, okay, wait a minute. That's what I wrote about myself, which then it just feels weird when you're listening to it. But I tell you, I am a coach at heart. And that's kind of what I always come back to because, I always tell people, I said, I had a very strong mother and then I had two brothers and a father. So I'm not the type of person that, asks for help often. I've learned how to. But when I work with clients, I'm like, come on, you got this. You can do this. I'm not going to do it for you. So I'm that coach. And a coach really believes that the person they're coaching has all the solutions and answers within them. The coach just has to ask the right questions and bring it out. So a lot of times that's what I resort back to. It's just coaching someone to the next level.
Now, you do that also on a physical level, too, because you're also into health and wellness of the body.
I am. For 30 years, this is my 30th year of being in the fitness industry. It mostly started with teaching group exercise classes, aerobics. Thank you, Jane Fonda, Kathy Ireland, Cindy Crawford. I started back in 1987 taking classes, and within 6 months I was teaching them. And that all stems from, me being at 15 years old, I was 240 pounds. I was the obese kid between two skinny athletic brothers. So there was always something I needed to figure out. And it took me finding like group fitness and then getting educated and trained. And then I became a personal trainer. And then 16 years ago, I became an actual manager, and I still teach classes. I actually teach, currently I teach, my main program is Body Step, which if people have ever heard of Body Pump, it's the same company that produces it. I've taught Pump, I've taught Body Flow, I've taught CX Works, I've taught yoga, Pilates. I've done it all. But now as I manage, I just teach the one I love the most, which is the Body Step class, which is a traditional kind of aerobic step class.
Well, that's also cool because, you bring all of that energy and that wholeness and whole body approach into your divination.
Yes, just naturally.
No, and that's what I love is because, what you do spills out in every area of your life. So anybody that knows you like I do, knows that you are all about the whole approach and taking care of the body, the mind, the spirit, the soul, and, getting people on track on where they need to be. Yeah.
And it's interesting if I'm working with a client, and especially if I'm reading cards, and almost 90% of the time, actually, I shouldn't say 90%, but if I'm not doing animal communication or mediumship, I've got cards in my hand and they're next to me, and I'm working with cards. Especially, my main go-to deck is Ciro Marchetti's Legacy of the Divine Tarot, and I use those and coach people along. So I am there. And if I get to the point where they're like, I don't know, I just want a general reading, my general reading will often fall back into the 5 dimensions of wellness, which is what I've always been. I was trained on that originally, which is the physical, the intellectual, the emotional, the social, and then the spiritual. So I've always been fortunate to the places I've worked, they've allowed us, and actually 2 of the main places that I worked for years, encouraged us to focus on the spiritual component. And the hospital organization that I'm connected with, which has a fitness center, is owned by the Adventist Health System. So it's a very spiritual institution. My spirituality is a little different than theirs, but I can still talk about someone's spirituality in the workplace, which is not always the same, or not always okay in the corporate world of America.
No, and it's not. But I'm grateful for the fact that they allow you to do that, because spiritual anything doesn't matter what religion, tradition, or anything else. When you get rid of the mundane every day and you just get down to the basic of spirituality, it all transcends.
Yeah, and I don't use the word gift often. But one of the things I think I'm, quote, gifted in is the ability to be like the chameleon. If I'm talking to the conservative Christian, I can pull out my cards and I can talk to them. Or if I don't want to pull the cards out, I'll divine right out of the Bible. And I've done that before with people. So if I'm talking to, the pagan or or I'm trying to think of, the Muslim or whoever, I can speak in a language that doesn't invade their personal belief, because I'm sure you, like me, know we have a whole lot more in common than we do different.
Yes. And that's one of the reasons why I love this show, is because, we do have, a very diverse collection of divination from all walks of life. And it transcends to anyone, regardless of faith, as long as you know how to approach, how to explain, how to give the messages, sometimes from a non-religious aspect, so that you're not stepping on anybody's toes on a spiritual and religious level. Yeah.
And I'll never forget, when I was, and some of the listeners may resonate with this, I was deep in the Nazarene church. That was the church I put myself in at about 22 years old. My family, we really didn't grow up in church. Mom was kind of Southern Baptist, dad was kind of Episcopalian, but with our family business, since I was pretty much can remember, I remember attending church one time with my family. And then the business took us away from it. It was a marina and a motorcycle dealership that 7 days a week they were working. But I was on this journey to find truth. And mostly it was like I was trying to figure out, me and my closeted gay self, what all that was about. But in searching for truth, I felt so many answers of things that needed to be answered. And it was really interesting because I walked into that, that church specifically, and I've read the Bible so many times forwards and backwards. And, I went to a Christian liberal arts university. And this is why I was saying, maybe you read my full bio on the back pages, but my degree's in theater. I was an actor for 21 years, and I even own an improv theater. And in a chat room today, someone was talking about, it's interesting. A lot of readers have an entertainment background, and I chimed in and I said what I did. And I even said my improv training prepared me for this, because I was embodying characters on stage. I was channeling information when I was doing performances as an improviser, because you have no script. You just know you're going to go down this path and you don't know what's there. But it really prepared me for great communication off the top of your head. And what I was doing was literally just tapping into source energy. And I didn't realize until later when I started studying all things spiritual, metaphysical.
Now, when you say tapping into source of all things, can you explain that?
Yes. It's for me, I'm very clairvoyant and clairaudient. So some people will do like automatic writing, and most people will say automatic writing is where you almost give up the control of your hand and you write. Some people say it's kind of like you're just writing what you're hearing. And for me, I never like to write that much. I like to type, so I'd call it automatic typing. But I literally, automatic typing, not an automatic typewriter, but now I just have voice command. Let me tell you what, I work a couple, online psychic sites, and I tell you, when someone sends me a question, I just hit the speaker mode on my phone and I speak directly from spirit the answer. And it's sometimes I feel like I'm cheating, but I'm like, this is better than me having to type it out, because when I'm typing, I'm still a little bit in my left brain thinking about the how to spell words. But when I'm just speaking, I'm just allowing it to channel through. And for me, that is literally, I'm just listening to what spirit is saying. A lot of times my clients in front of me, and they'll say, oh yeah, I just want to know what my grandmother needed. And when the moment they say that, I'm literally hearing spirit say, tell her I'm just, connecting with her through the pink roses. So I'm usually they're asking